Hello, hello to my replay viewers. Hi there, this is Dr. Jana. I'm a sex researcher, professor of human sexuality at NYU, and your regular scoper about things related to sexual health, sex ed, sex science, and other sexy things. And today I have something special for you. I have an interview with another periscoper who actually just started broadcasting himself, but he's been in my scopes a few times. Hi, Joel. Oh my God, you just had 4 hours of sleep and you're back. Amazing.
Amazing. I can understand that.
He is Neo Warrior, whose handle is in the title of the scope, and I are going to talk about sex after a spinal cord injury. So sexuality and disability, a topic that we don't often talk about. So I'm really glad that Neo said he'd talk to us about that. So
I said yes.
Said yes, indeed. Okay, so if you think this would be fun and interesting for other people or educational for other people to see and hear, please take a moment now to invite your followers. So click that number in the corner and share this broadcast with your Periscope, Twitter, or Facebook followers. If you don't follow Dr. Jana already and this is something of interest to you, please also swipe left to right on iOS, swipe up on Android, and follow Dr. Jana. So yes, invite your followers. Oh, how Pink Sun is here. Hi, girl. She is another person sort of living and being sexual with a disability. So she can kind of chime in on the conversation as well. And also I want to ask, so a couple of you who plan on being here for the entire sort of time, if you can moderate a little bit, so if people come in and ask questions that we've already covered, I don't want to have to go through, I don't want to make Neo answer the same question over and over and over again. So respond to their comments, okay? Is this a demonstration? It is not a demonstration.
It's not.
It is not a demonstration. Okay, so I'm going to flip the camera now. We're interviewing Neo over Skype, and we get to talk to him. Hi. You're on camera. Smile.
Hello, Perry Land. How is everybody out there?
Can you speak slower? Okay, I can try and speak slower.
You or I?
I guess me.
I haven't spoken yet, so too much. So.
Okay, so hi Neo. Thanks so much for doing this, and I have a few questions that I shared with you, and we'll see what the audience comes up with as well. But let's start with just telling us sort of who you are, where you're from, some basics, age, where you live, and.
Well, I live in Orlando, Florida. I'm 37 years old, and I suffered a spinal cord injury back when I was coming out of high school at the age of 17. And let's see, I was raised in New York. I went to school there, raised in New York. I'm originally from Colombia, and basically spent my high school years there. And then afterwards, I moved down here to Florida, and been living over here. I surf. I just started studying goldsmith and goldsmithing. I just started something I wanted to look into, so I just started doing it. And I don't know. I just kind of lived my life with a spinal cord injury.
What do you do? What do you do for a living?
I volunteer, and I also work for Project Walk Orlando. It's a spinal cord injury recovery center. Mm-hmm. And yeah, let me definitely give them Project Walk Orlando in Longwood, Florida. I work for them, and it's just like an amazing rehabilitative facility over there.
Can someone write that out?
You could go to www.projectwalkorlando.com. No, excuse me, .org.
Projectwalkorlando.org.
Yeah,
awesome.
.org. And I'm an ambassador for them as well. So, I kind of go around and kind of teach people and kind of educate them about disabilities and people with disabilities, and especially on the rehabilitative side.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah,
Thanks.
a little bit of that.
Thanks everyone for writing that out. Yeah, if you want to screenshot that and look up Project Walk Orlando afterwards,
It's
that would be
amazing
awesome.
what we do there. Amazing. So thank you for that.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. I guess I guess sort of let's go a little bit before the injury. So the injury happened when you were 17, and
Yeah.
what was your sexual development, I guess, before that, or did you have, what was happening beforehand?
I had in high school, I kind of came into sexuality early. It was like at 14, I did lose my virginity. So it was really early for me. And after that, I had a few other sexual experiences, but it wasn't much because it just was during those years. So you're still kind of like, kind of getting to know what's going on. So I did have some experiences before my accident. And I guess you could say there were regular experiences that we all go through. You get fails, you get successes and all that. So I guess it was kind of like that. So that's how pretty much it was.
What's your sexual orientation? You straight, gay?
Straight.
Okay. And so then what happened after the injury?
After the injury, yeah.
Or how did the injury affect things? And
well, with the spinal cord injury, everybody's unique to their injury. So my body will kind of coming out of the injury, what my body changes will be different to completely different. Even if we have kind of the similar type of injury, it'll be completely different to somebody else that has this spinal cord injury. So everything that I pretty much will say, like, it just pertains to me. Mm-hmm. It pertains to me. Coming out of the injury, it was tough because, that's one of the first things you kind of think about when you're in the hospital bed, when you actually come out of whatever it is that you come out of, shock or trauma, and you have a moment to think. You kind of think of everything that you don't have or what's actually going on, kind of trying to interpret it all in your head. And then sexuality is definitely one of the things that comes up. And it's like, is that, I just want to hear that. Give me something, there's been so much taken away already. Mm-hmm. What can you give me back or let me keep? So it does come to mind, strangely, because you're kind of thinking about all these other really I don't know if you call them more serious things, but more maybe vital things to some other people where you're thinking like, am I going to walk? Am I going to, all these other things. And then, but sexuality does
But that
come
was
up.
a concern.
That was a concern. Yeah. So it's like, it just goes to show you that, sexuality is so intertwined with everything we do. So yeah, it was a concern. And,
did doctors talk about that with you at all? Was that something that came up in conversations with the doctors?
My accident happened in 1993. And to me, the rehabilitative community were still very young on the sexual aspect. They gave me like a book this huge on the whole rehabilitative and what I should expect physically aspect, but nothing in there. Maybe like 2 or 3 pages covered sex. And
wow.
Yeah, it was very new. And actually, one of my doctors, the head doctor, she made a sex video. I call it the sex video. Sorry, I call it the sex video.
It wasn't porn, I assume.
It wasn't porn. No, it was all medical. Sorry about that, doctors. Sorry, but it was all medical. But it was but it was horrible. It was horrible. It was like not the right representation that I would have thought of in my head of sexuality, especially after disability. It was just, but it was like I said, everything I think at that point was still juvenile, in the sense of where it was in the incorporation of your rehabilitative process or what you should expect, So they did kind of touch upon it, but not really, not in my sense. Really, it was like kind of you're thrown out there in the fire, and you got to learn how to run real quick. It was kind of like that.
A couple of questions coming in. Were you able to get an erection after the injury?
I was able to get an erection naturally. I wasn't able to maintain an erection. And back in 1993, they didn't listen to me. Did I just say back in 1993?
Yes, you did.
Oh my God, it's like an old man. Back in 1993, we didn't have iPods.
Oh, at what level was your injury?
It was T4, so it's right here around chest level. It's right here, like around where they call the nipple area, where, right where that line kind of falls. So it's right there. But in 1993, they had different methods of kind of either giving you an erection or helping you sustain an erection, either with like a vacuum pump or like medicine, or medication. But but it was all like you had to inject the medication at that point. Viagra wasn't out yet.
Right.
That's what I did. Viagra wasn't out yet. You had to inject it. So your options were like, kind of limited as to what you could actually really do. But yeah, in my sense, I could get an erection through stimulation, but I couldn't maintain it the whole time. So that kind of was like really hard on your mind, especially very, very hard on your mind. It kind of plays with you for a little bit.
Yeah, I bet. So how did things develop in terms of sexuality and dating and?
Well, dating, I kind of just went right back into it. I really just jumped back there. I really just jumped right back into everything that my life kind of entailed. I really just jumped right back. Not everything was great that I did, but I just kind of jumped back into it. It was one of those things. But the sexuality part took me a little bit to overcome, especially in the initial beginning, because I didn't know how my body would react. I didn't know if I would, I'm going to be with this girl. So I had all those worries, about the erection and all that. So I guess I was lucky that people were willing. They didn't see me any different, so to speak, as people say, but they were willing to be with me and date me and kind of get into sections. But after the accident, very briefly, I didn't do anything more than what a high school kid would do. Because I was still, worried about that. And then slowly, as I started meeting more people and they were more open, it's just, I really realized that it does, it doesn't matter. There, sex can be had in many different ways, So then I guess that's when, like, my mind started opening up to, like, sexual exploration, not yet toys yet. I don't think toys at that point, but, more like, what can I do with my fingers? What can I do with my mouth? Stuff like that. And then one day I was with one of my girlfriends, and it was, like I said, this is like right before Viagra. Mm-hmm. And then those years were a little hard because you kind of sit there and you're like, you got to think of all these new things to do, but at the same time, you're still worried about that God darn erection. So then Viagra came out. And that was like, I swear, it was like a godsend to me. It was a total
revolutionary.
Godsend. Yes, it was revolutionary. It was great. Come on, you got it. A young man, suffered an accident. The sexuality, one of the big things that's part of his life, gets taken away. And I'm a very sexual person. And it's like, so you finally get this thing that just helps you out. And I know it's more mental than it is physical, but to me, it really helped me so much because I had started to integrate both of those parts, the mental and the physical. And so I had learned before Viagra came out, I had learned what to do with my fingers, what to do with my other sensations, how to make, myself feel good, in my mind especially. And when Viagra came out, it was like the visual kind of put it together. And it's kind of like the brain synapses had they rerouted themselves, and they just said, well, let's go with these types of feelings connected to that, when this is seen or that. And it became amazing. It became amazing. Wow. It was great. And
someone's asking, Viagra works well? Yeah.
It does. It works very well. There's a few side effects with it. People do tend to get side effects. I do get side effects, but I kind of weigh the options out. You kind of weigh the options out, but I get like a clogged up nose, and sometimes I get like a headache.
But that's worth it, right?
definitely worth it. Compared to the time that I get that, the rest of the time, it's definitely very worth it, yes. Yeah. But, yeah. And what I wanted to, there was 2 points in my life that I wanted, sexual life, that I wanted to interject in. The first point was where everything kind of changed. And the first point we just covered, which was the Viagra part. That was huge. That was huge. That,
How many years was it in between the injury and Viagra?
it had to be at least like, I'd say like 5 years. Yeah, like 5 years.
Okay.
Years. So through those 5 years, yeah, it was great. Don't get me wrong, it was great. But then, when Viagra came out and you got that erection back, it was phenomenal. But so it was that point in my sexual life, and then also the other point in my sexual life totally changed everything around. Also, for the better, was when I started introducing actually toys into the bedroom, and then I would use them as, like I like to say, like as an extension of me as well. No pun intended, but as an extension. And when you incorporate all that, and I guess what I'm trying to get to is that when you have a spinal cord injury or a disability, you got to be really creative. You got to be really creative, open to communication, and be super, super creative with your partner. And like, you'll see that these sexual worlds really open up to you. There's not just one singular, and we all know that. There's not just one singular sexual. So, those were 2 phenomenal points in my life.
I want to share some of the toys that you use and how you use them. Someone was saying, I've never used toys, and
well,
there's so many options out there. What are some?
There's so many options out there, but one of my favorite ones is Lilo is a great company, by the way, and they are an amazing company. I found that company and I was just like, this is it. But awesome. There is one called the Lilo, and I don't work for Lilo. I don't work for Lilo, but Lilo, if you want to throw something my way, that's okay. But there's one called the Lilo Ella, ELLO, and it's just a like a regular like kind of insertion toy, and but it has ends that you can work really well with the G-spot, and another end that you can turn it around and it has another end, and you just could do a lot with it. That one's my favorite because that one I feel like is the truest, most extension of myself. And things that I'm not able to do per se because of my disability. Maybe I might not be able to get into a position, or maybe when I incorporate that, I can. And it's phenomenal. I love that word, phenomenal. But it's great. It's great. So that's one of my favorite ones.
If you obviously, if people have questions, please share them, and I can try to incorporate them. And thank you for sharing your story. Velmut is saying you're getting some applauses, and do you
want to get hearts for Dr. Jana? Hearts, people.
Oh, thank you. Yes, there's a lot of hearts going up.
There's hearts.
Do you do anal? And please feel free not to answer any questions you don't want to answer. Obviously, but
not. Well, how can you put it? Pegging? What do they call it? Pegging?
Pegging, yeah.
I give anal, or how do you say it? I give anal, but I don't
receive anal.
I don't receive anal. Right. Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Awesome.
I'm not a. How would you say that? I'm not a pegger.
No, I don't.
I'm not a peggy.
Peggy, yeah. It just doesn't sound right, but I think that would be the grammatically appropriate way to do.
What's the consensus out there? Pegger or Peggy?
A pegger and a Peggy, I suppose. Which one? The pegger would be the one with the strap on. The pegger would be the one receiving it. Yeah, I think the Peggy. Yeah. Anyway, but with toys you can do anything. Booby thing. I will never hear the name Peggy again with the same connotation. We ruined Peggy for good for these 60 people.
Sorry.
So, I didn't even know it was a thing. Yeah, it's totally a thing. And I talk about that in my scopes every now and then when it comes up. I am actually, speaking of Lilo, I'm giving away in a couple of weeks a Lilo prostate massager. So maybe you will be the lucky winner.
I don't know. I haven't done there yet, but who knows?
What about your orgasm? So you've talked about, pleasing your partners. What is the kind of pleasure that you get and you experience?
I was talking to a friend about this today also, because she's so curious on everything, and people get very curious. And one of the well, curious in the sense of the spinal cord injury and
Right.
sex. So one of the points that people really do get curious about is the orgasm. And once again, like I said, this is just really pertains to me. And what I try to explain to people is that the sex before, I did have that male orgasm where it's like, you ejaculate and that sensation and that's it. After the accident, I do not have that. One, because I don't have sensation. And then two, I personally don't ejaculate. I do ejaculate, but it kind of goes back into the urethra.
Oh,
So
I
it
see.
doesn't come out. And that's something that's something that may occur with people with a spinal cord injury. So, but what happens is that you learn to really use your mind a lot. I guess in all those years that I wasn't using anything else other than my mind, my hand, all the tools that I felt that I had at that moment. It's strange because I've kind of come into the sense of where the orgasms are amazing, and it's like a full body thing. And it's a full body thing, and it can happen multiple times. It's crazy. But like, I try to explain that to people, but they don't get it. They can't put their finger. They're like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, well, and I'm like, no, well, this is what happens. I've learned how to incorporate everything, and it's like everything connects, and when it all connects perfectly in that one sense, and the ecstasy is high and all that stuff. Not the drug. I'm just, but the ecstasy is high, and the moment's perfect, and boom, it's amazing, and it can happen over and over and over again, which is great. And I think it has to do with also what I can feel as far as sensation, because afterwards, I guess you could call it the come down part, or the coming down part. Afterwards, it's like everything's heightened. Everything's heightened. So like, if my partner maybe starts touching my arm again, it's like it feels amazing. It feels great. It's it's like I'm talking about it. I'm like, it's like the natural ecstasy. So yeah, it's strange to me how that happened. But I guess I always held an open mind. I guess after my injury, because sex was so important. It was so part of my life. But I didn't want that part missing. So regardless which way it came, I had to quench those urges, and that's one thing that people don't realize either. They're also very curious about how sexual you are, especially with the disability. It's like, no, we're just like you. We're human beings.
Same desires, yeah.
Same desires. So same desires and everything. Just because we have a disability doesn't mean we don't have those desires or those thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, people with disabilities are just like people with no disabilities. Some have a lot of sexual desire. Some have, sort of mediocre level of sexual desire. Some have no sexual desire, right? It runs the gamut. So, just because you got an injury doesn't mean that that's all of a sudden going to change, even though we don't like to think about those kinds of things, or that's kind of taboo.
You paralyze an 8-ball, it's still an 8-ball, just in a wheelchair.
Exactly. What's your sort of relationship status situation these days? Are you married? Do you have a family? Do you have kids?
No, and no.
No.
No, right now I'm very single. Right now I'm very single. I am dating, but it's not really hasn't gotten to that point where we've been with each other yet. It's just kind of like at the talking point right now, but pretty much just single and dating. No kids, haven't been married. Everybody knows my whole history now.
Yeah. Lorelita says he's so handsome.
Who said that?
Lorelita says that about you. She's in Chicago.
I'm single.
Oh, Mel is agreeing too. Mel, where are you? Oh, Tina's
Oh,
agreeing too. Okay,
give
you
us
have a
hearts. Give us hearts.
you're getting a lot of female attention right now. The motion must be really slow, I guess. Then I'm not sure what you mean by that. Oh, Mississippi. Male is in Mississippi. And Tina, where's Tina? So a little recap. So we're talking to Neo, who has a spinal cord injury from the chest down, and we're talking about his sort of life and his sexuality with this. Oh, Lisa, my patients with new spinal cord injuries would benefit from hearing this talk. That's great. Yeah, please feel free to share.
Yeah, please do, for sure. That's why we're doing this.
Yeah, so it's going to be on Catch after this. It's going to stay up there, and I'm going to put it on YouTube in a week or two. So it's going to be up there. Someone says, "Oh, Mel visits Florida often." Well, there you go. Yeah.
And for the people out there that are listening that do have some type of disability, I just want to kind of say, really, with your partners, I working as an ambassador for Project Walk Orlando, I obviously meet tons of newly injured people and all different levels of injury. And communication, really, it's communication, and I know a lot of them that have stayed with their partners, and I know some, that it hasn't gone easy with them. But what I would say to you is just really communication, creativeness, especially in the bedroom, and be open and just communicate about everything, because everything's happened to me in the bedroom. Trust me, as a spinal cord injury person, you go through everything. You have bladder problems, you have bowel problems, and I've had everything happen to me. You check everything off, it's happened. But compared to everything other great that has happened, it's very minimal when those situations happen. But if you prepare for it, and you if you need to prepare for it, and you communicate and just be open with each other and just love each other, and just it'll be a great as before sex life. If you haven't had it yet, then you'll come into a new sexual sex life. So it's amazing.
Jesse, he got hit by a car. He was asking what the cause was. There was another question. When is it an appropriate time to sort of ask someone if they have a disability?
With me, I don't care. But I do have to tell you that you always kind of have your radar on, because the first person that comes up to you and always starts being the curious one, they want to know for a reason. That's when our radars start going off, because we know we've been there so many times. But it depends. Everybody's different. With me, I really don't care. Like, don't come up to me at a bar, and then unless you're hitting on me or something, and then maybe I think you're cute. But if I'm having don't ask me questions about my disability if I'm like at a bar or whatever, or start talking to me and let me know about your uncle who did this. Yeah, I'll listen to you for 5 minutes, but don't. Your uncle also was in a wheelchair. He had a broken leg, and it's like, don't do that. Don't do that.
Right.
Let me have my fun. I'm not there to have fun. But if you bring up sex, I'll get into it, because I don't mind. But other people might be more sensitive, about it. So it all depends. You got to read the person, just like you got to read us. When would you decide to get into a sexual conversation with somebody that you were just talking to without a wheelchair, or maybe without a disability, or when would you decide to do that? Same thing with us.
There were a couple of questions there, and I missed them. I missed one of them that I wanted to ask. Damn it! But I remember Hot Pink Sun's question, which is, do people with a disability fetish, like, what's your feeling about people who kind of fetishize disability? Have you had experience with that sort of thing? Because and Hot Pink Sun was actually talking about this in one of her scopes recently, that disability is often either is completely desexualized. Right. If you have a disability, then you're not a sexual person at all.
You're asexual.
Yeah. Or there are people who kind of fetishize that, and they're into you because of your disability rather than of you as sort of a more holistic person. So what's your experience with that? Oh, I saw your question about depression and recluse. I'll ask that. Yes, next.
Well, my experience with that is, I'm very lucky. you're going to hear me say that a lot because my experiences have been pretty much on the positive side. I did have experience with that, but it was good. To me, it was good. It was this person I met, this girl. We actually met online, and she did have a sort of fetish, but it wasn't like she was overtaken by it, but she was more so interested and curious by it, and then it kind of like became into a fetish, I guess, for her. But it wasn't, I guess, something that was out of control, I guess. And then I know friends, especially girls. Girls get this a lot. Girls in wheelchairs and with disabilities, they have really run into like some crazy, I'm not gonna say people, but the crazy things that they get said to them in regards to like that fetish. So you have your both sides. I was lucky to run into the good side, I guess.
Well, yeah, there's also the fact that most people with very kind of strong fetishes tend to be men. So since you're,
really? Okay.
Yeah, there's like a 99, sometimes 95 to 5 ratio of men to women in terms of having very strong fetishes. So if your partners are female, then you're less likely to run into that. Whereas the women who are hetero and who have to deal with male partners are more likely to get.
Yeah, that makes a lot of. Well, in that case, it makes a lot of sense to me because it is so true.
Yeah. Are you ever in any pain?
Yes, I am. I'm in pain all the time. Oh, but wait. I'm glad you brought that up because, I'm in pain a lot just because of my injury, and I have problems with my hip. So it's like, my back is always just in pain. The severity is always different. But when I am done with, I guess, not done, but let's say when I orgasm after sex, it's like the dopamine's going crazy and the chemicals are going crazy. And it's like the best pain medicine.
Yeah.
No, it really is. And I haven't done actually a scientific study on it, but I did my own scientific study. And it was true. It was like you feel great afterwards. So you got to remember, I kind of explained to everybody before that I don't necessarily ejaculate. It doesn't come out, but, that has nothing to do with how great I feel and the chemicals still in the brain that overtake you, with those sensations and how great you feel out. So, I feel pain, it's like kind of dissipated and you just feel good. You just feel good. Like my friend says, you feel like $1,000,000. But it's the same for us, regardless. And even that my injury is so, at T4, it's like I can still feel great afterwards. So I hope that they come out with whatever is happening at that moment, and then we use that to treat pain.
Well, I mean, what's released in the brain is endorphins, right? Our body's natural painkillers like morphine, and during orgasm, and so that, absolutely that. So
from a physical aspect, I still get that.
Right.
So
right.
You can't. I guess what I'm trying to say for the people that think I know it's hard for them to get like over the when there's something of disconnection there, that these things are not going to kind of find a way to still occur, and especially in the human body. Neuroplasticity.
Yeah, absolutely. People are asking, did you go through a period of depression, of sort of social, recluse? How did you overcome, if you did?
Yeah, especially after the injury, And that's when I said when I tossed myself into the world. I did toss myself into the world and all the good aspects. And then there was some bad aspects, those parts of drinking where it's like I thought I was partying. The way I put it is like I thought I was partying and having a good time, but it was actually me kind of, drinking in my soul. I guess that's the way that I coped with it at that moment. But it wasn't partying, it wasn't partying. Then, obviously you realize that afterwards, and then that's what I realized. I said, that was kind of a little destructive time, but there was, many aspects that were incorporated to that. It was tough afterwards. It was tough trying to get used to life again, and especially life, where boundaries and walls are put up, and you want to run through those walls each time you see them. And I guess you're the type of person that wants to keep doing that. So it was tough, with everything, sexually, you go through your ups and downs, but like people say, there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Did you go
And
through
then yeah,
therapy? How did you sort of overcome?
no,
No?
never. That's no. I gave myself therapy. I gave myself therapy in the head, and kind of just and you got to learn from your life experiences, and you got to learn from every minute of your life. We all still try to do, and it's like if you take the good path, and I'm not talking religiously on it. I'm saying the good path that ends up for you. It's great. Keep going that way. So yeah, it was tough, but I was lucky that I got myself out. I had a good support group. I had good friends. I had good family. Great. But even yet, yeah, you do go through your hard times. You go through your hard times. You go through your lows. Just like we all do. And things later on obviously got better. But you always hit your lows sometimes. But it's okay. I look at it this way. I say I understand that I do have my lows. I know why. And tomorrow will come. Let's see what happens tomorrow because I have no idea.
Yeah. Mel says, "My God, he's a keeper. I wonder how no one has snagged him so far."
Yeah, I get it. I get told that all the time.
Thank you so much for sharing and for being so open. Yeah.
It's great. It's great.
Oh, someone's saying this is their favorite Periscope of all times.
Yes, give Dr. Shana hearts. Give her hearts.
Oh,
See hearts.
thank you. So a question has come up a number of times. Do you date able-bodied people or do you date other people with disability? Do you have no preference?
All of the above. I date abled and non-abled. All the above.
So that's sort of not...
It's interesting, huh? People are like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. How's that happen? It happens.
Yeah. What were your sort of longest relationships? Have you how many long-term relationships have you had? Are you more of a long-term relationship kind of guy? Are you more of a casual? Where do you find people? Do you date online mostly? Can you talk about that a little bit?
I had long relationships. They all ended up they all ended up because and it's funny because alcohol played a big part in it, not on my part, but on their part, and it just seems like for some reason I keep running into that, and so that kind of jaded me, and then I kind of just sit here and I go, okay, you know what, I'm going to keep it casual for now. So I keep it casual for the last few years. And I just like doing what I like to do. I like learning. I like, going to school. I like just living, just waking up and a day that you wake up where you're not in that much pain and you could actually do things and, you got to take advantage of that, So I sound that's so cheesy, but it's so true.
No, it's true. Absolutely.
And right now with relationships, everybody's different, relationships with people and all that. But, and I guess I would call myself, the single person that everybody always sees that's single, but then they're like, oh, you always got to be. No, you can be very happy being single because as long as you fulfill all those different areas in your life, which we all try to obtain, you're a happy person.
Yep. Booby, stop it. My favorite egg is in the room, and he's asking what
favorite egg.
what would it take you to peg an egg? I think that was the question. But
how much money you got? If we're talking money, dollar bills, well, give me some, and then I'll say yes or no.
There you go, Booby. I hope that satisfies. How do you find people to date? So I know, and no one has asked here, but I know that question comes up often, and when I talk to different people, how do you date, and how do you go about that? Do you is it easier to do it offline, online?
I have found that, and I find this more on the female side. The females with spinal cord injury, my friends, some of them, but it is something that I have noticed. Some of them like to date a lot online, but what will occur is they don't necessarily put it out there that they're in a wheelchair or their disability. And I'm not going to say, obviously not all of them. It's just, I just do see it happen until they start talking to the person and they feel comfortable enough and then they introduce it. Some of them do. Others just kind of like post it up. I'm on the ship where I want the person to look at me and see the chair, see everything. And then from right off the bat, it's like, it's a check mark. If they,
right.
if they swipe right or swipe left or whatever, whatever, it's a check mark. So it's like,
You're on
okay, we got
Tinder,
that out of the way.
aren't you?
Yeah, I am, but I'm not on Tinder. It's not on. It's not like on. But yeah. But yeah, it's like you get that out of the way. But that's me. So I use online, and then social, just like how everybody does. But I consider myself an ambivert. But my sister says, "No way, you're a total extrovert." I'm like, "No, I got my days." I got my days. So I'm very social, and especially when I go out and all that stuff, it's easy to meet people. For me, it's not that hard. Just because I'm a very social person. But within the community, I do see that online does help. The girls do always have to worry a lot, like you said before, about
right.
like who's got the fetish. They're always worried about that, but they're good at screening them out. So yeah, it's online, just like how we do, online and offline.
Right. Yeah. What what do you want people who don't have spinal cord injuries to know, to understand? Oh, Jesse has to go, but says, "Please have kids. The world needs more people like you. You'd make a great father."
That's heart.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
One day. One day soon, maybe.
One day, yeah.
Soon.
So,
I do want. And I can have kids, people.
Hmm?
By the way, I can have kids. By the way,
You can.
I want them to know. Yeah, I can personally have kids. I would have to do it, though. I would have to get medical procedures done to,
Right.
have that happen. But it can still occur. So it is something that I do want in my life, but just not right now.
No, yeah. Well, you got some time still, yeah. No rush.
Yeah, I guess just there's people out there that kind of just really totally willing to just kind of learn and explore and ask questions, when they run into somebody with a disability. And I guess those people are kind of like the ones that I say kind of, yeah, don't be absurdly open with somebody. You got to feel it out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, ask questions, and ask what would be comfortable to us, and ask what we like. And it's just like in a regular sexual relationship, ask what we like. Yeah, our circumstances are going to be different, but the sexualness is still there. And why would you want to be a partner? And especially if you have emotions or non-emotions, if the emotions are lustful or if the emotions are, very, very emotional, there's still those emotions that you're with that person with. Why wouldn't you want to attend to making them happy and
Mm-hmm.
being open, regardless of whatever it is? As long as you both agree with it, regardless of whatever you may need to do for them. Yeah, you might need to incorporate pillows and prop things up for somebody, or you can incorporate toys if they want. But it's the same thing with us. It's like, don't forget, our mind hasn't gotten hurt. When you get into a mental injury, maybe, in some instances, I'm going to say, that the sexualness kind of maybe, whatever it may be,
Mm-hmm.
it's impacted.
Yeah, I mean, different sort of disabilities have obviously very different experiences with everything. He's T4, actually. My money. There's another person in here who's T4 as well.
Represent the T4.
Hmm?
Said I represent the T4.
Yeah.
Throwing my gang signs up. T4. But yeah, so just communication, and just kind of remember that it's our physical part that got hurt. The mental part is huge in it. So it's still, you could still just be there and do things and grow and just evolve sexually. But you're not going to do that if you don't communicate, because nobody's going to be like,
Right.
And especially obviously people have communicating problems anyway.
Yeah.
At times.
Yeah, disability or no disability, we're all sort of disabled when it comes to sexual communication.
No disability.
Yeah.
The communication is so hard. So yeah, just communicate. And yeah, feel free to ask questions. If they don't want to answer anything, they're not going to answer anything.
He's on social media. handle is, he's also on Periscope. He's promising to start scoping a little more himself.
Oh yeah, totally.
So you can, his handle is in the title of this scope, so you can go after or before, and you can tweet at him. You can actually tweet at him straight from this broadcast. You don't even have to leave the broadcast.
Send me tweets. Let me know how it went for you guys, and I'd love to hear the feedback. And if anybody with a disability just wants to reach out, give a shout out, that's awesome. That's great. Just keep empowering ourselves. Come on, we're the new. I like to say something. It's cheesy, and it's I didn't come up with it, but I like it. I said we're the new face of disability. And the things that I've seen, my brothers and sisters do, it's amazing. It's just amazing. So it's like, I guess we're more incorporated in this era, than we were before, more than ever.
Yeah.
And we're having a Periscope about sexual, and you wouldn't have seen this like even a decade ago. But it's great. It's just amazing, and just keep empowering ourselves. So if you want to give me a shout out, let me know, please.
Yes, do that. Vilmut actually had a really interesting question. Jeff is saying, I'm C5 and married 10 years post-injury. Right on. Awesome. Vilmut had a good question. Do people approach you sometimes as if you have a mental disability?
It depends how many tequilas I've had. But, no, me personally, no. I'm so, and I guess it has to do with me. I don't look, it's the way I am. It's just the way that I am. Yeah. And people tend to say, tend to tell me, they're like, how do you've always acted like this? I'm like, yeah, I kind of did. And, disabled and non-disabled. And it's just the way I am. But others, I have seen it in their instance where they get not spoken to, or like if there's two people in the party, they'll speak to the one standing up instead of the one that asked the question that's sitting down,
Right.
So, so I'm very, very vocal, very outgoing. So it's not a problem with me. But with others, I have seen that.
Yeah. Hopping Sun is pointing out that people with mental disabilities also have sex lives and sexual needs. So absolutely, yeah. It's just that each sort of disability is going to be somewhat different, and even each of the same, like the T4 with you and T4 with someone else is going to be different. Yeah.
Completely different. Yeah.
What would be sort of your message to people just kind of experiencing this injury or something similar, and thinking that's it, sex is not ever going to be an option? And
it's kind of like, what would you? It's kind of like saying, what would your future self tell your
present self, exactly.
Yeah. Just be open-minded. Be willing to talk. If the partner that you're with is just not able to do it for whatever reason, because that happens a lot. That's a strange thing. Well, I consider it strange where it's like they'll be partners, but because of the disability, somehow the partner can never handle that. So then, obviously they end up breaking up and the relationship goes south. But, if that happens, just remember that it happens to everybody. It happens to everybody. Just, you're always going to find somebody, regardless of what your disability is, that thinks you're sexy, that thinks that they're into you. It's out there. We're so abundant on this planet, and all our situations are so different on this planet that we're eventually going to meet somebody that you're going to click with. So just keep going forward with it. Yeah, and it's hard for everybody. It's a little harder for us, but isn't everything a little harder for us? With any type of disability, mentally, physically, it's just hard. Just keep going. Just keep going. As you keep going in life, do the same in every aspect of your life. And we're all imperfect in some ways.
You have another fan saying you're sexy.
Please give Dr. Shauna the hearts for all this attention she's getting me.
Oh my God, it's hilarious. Yeah, so he's in
Yeah,
Florida, in
fun.
Orlando. If anyone wants to visit Neo in Orlando, go for it. Oh, someone was asking what you
Can't
do
wait
for
to share this.
what you do for fun. You mentioned
I
surfing
surf.
earlier, right?
Yeah, I surf. I coach and I play for a wheelchair rugby team.
Oh,
Uh,
cool.
the the Orange County Club. Yeah, I was an athlete before the accident, so I'm still an athlete. But I coach and play for a wheelchair rugby team, which is better known as Murder Ball. And I skydive. I I love to cook. I know I'm a keeper. Jeez.
You totally are a keeper. Seriously, will someone
No,
please go move to Orlando and like marry this man
but
and have babies with him?
I'm gonna have proposals coming out on Twitter. but but yeah, that's I like to do. I like to go out. I love to socialize. I love being an uncle. I love being an uncle. An uncle's great. Just the basic things that we all do. To have fun. Basically, I guess I'm a little crazy at times, but I guess that just comes with the territory. You're allowed to be.
Someone says murder ball is crazy. Have you seen the matches? I have no idea what murder ball is.
You gotta look it up. I will send you a
Okay.
video. I will send you a video to look up at YouTube, and it's amazing. It's an amazing sport.
Okay.
Intense, amazing speed, metal, muscle, blood. It's great.
Okay. Oh, Velma, that's funny. Velma's asking if you have a six pack.
No six pack. I have a little pooch. I have a tiny little pooch. Now, my muscles don't really work from the chest level down, so
Right,
it's kind of
right.
hard for me to get a six pack. But I have amazing arms.
Amazing arms. There you go. Oh, she was asking for
Arms and
me. She was asking for me, not for you.
Oh,
That's okay. I like arms too. I like nice arms too.
amazing
Yeah.
arms and amazing hands.
All right, all right. Arms are good. Yes, you're getting like. Okay. Any other last sort of questions that you all are dying to ask of Neo? If not, I think we're gonna let him go. Hands are everything, says Loralita. Oh, my money is trying to
They
lose
are.
you.
The hands you can remember. Your hands are something that you could manipulate in so many ways. They're
Yeah.
great,
Yeah, it says.
and if you have that capability,
Yeah, it says your upper body must be very strong. Yes, he will scope. He will scope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dr. Jana brought me out.
Yay! I'm so glad. Thank you so
Out of the
much for
scope
this.
closet. I'm out of the scope closet.
It's the scope closet. Yes, bringing people out of the scope closet.
Thank you, Dr. Jana. When you approached me about this, I thought it was a great topic. I thought it would be something great to talk about. And I really have, enjoyed sharing. And I hope that just with me sharing a little bit of my experiences, it's going to help somebody out there with spinal cord injury and just kind of take it. I don't know, just help them a little bit and just realize that, it's happened before. Whatever might happen, it's happened before. It might happen again.
Yep.
But, just keep going forward with it. Just keep going forward with it and talk, communicate.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this. Thank you, all of you, for being here and for all the hearts and for all the comments and questions. So yeah, it's going to be on Catch. Feel free to, share it with other people if anyone ever needs a positive, sort of refreshing, inspiring perspective on post SCI. This is a good one, man. Yeah, I love your attitude. You're just so awesome about it.
Jana. Thank you.
Thank you. But let's stay in chat for a second, and I'm going to say goodbye to Scope people. And I will see you maybe tonight. I'm blabbing with Alex Cardosa. I'll let you know if that's going to be on Scope in some way. But if not, if you're on a Blab, come find me on Blab. If not, I will talk to you tomorrow. All right, everyone. Bye-bye.
Guys, hearts.
They are hearting it up. They are.